Is this better?
Yes, that's better. Um, so do private pre-K or or um or public pre-K?
It was private. Yeah, it was private because they were child care centers.
Okay. Have you have any experience?
I don't have experience, but my oldest daughter did start going to one of our public pre-Ks, our free pre-K program in Charlotte. And I do have a little knowledge of the curriculum based off of her teacher. That was a good friend of mine who was teaching public pre-K.
When you taught private pre-K, what curriculum?
I think we used the creative curriculum.
Do you like that one?
I don't like any of them. I mean, they're good, and not to say, that they're bad curriculums. They're good curriculums, but they don't necessarily provide you with the materials that you need with the curriculum. So if they're giving you a curriculum for the month, yes, they're going to have what you need to do for math, science, reading, writing, arts and crafts, the song of the week, the books of the week. But it would be good to get those books of the week. Let me get those crafts. Let me get those interactive, whatever that you're telling me to do. If you're telling me to build a farm, send me some farm animals. Send me some, hey, send me something for them to do so that I don't have to put that on a supply list and then have to wait for the supplies to come, and they might not come. Now I have to right, exactly. Now I have to change up the whole lesson plan, or we're just doing something, paperwork or 2D when it can really be 3D, or it can really be something fun and engaging. And other things that, some teachers do would ask the parents, but you don't want to always ask the parents for materials or supplies as well, even if they're always offering it. Because there comes times where you're really going to need a parent, and you're just going to feel like, well, I'm always giving, so when you really need it, I might not have it. So the curriculum, they're in good faith. They are a good path to learn on. It's written out very well, but they don't provide everything. It's about 70%, like 70, yeah, it's about 70%, because it's telling you what you need to do or telling you what I need to talk about today. But if I don't have extra materials or other stuff to enhance those subjects or those areas of interest, then it's really not going to be that effective for the kids. You said you do what?
I like the advanced.
Okay, and I heard about that one.
They give you a lot of materials. As far as like the books, they don't give you like toys and stuff to do with, but they give you the books, songs, and stuff like that. One thing that I don't know if it's probably just going to go through it, but we talked about was parent involvement, and I think that's very important. I think that get involved.
Right.
Although you have to make time for what requires your child. That is your child. It's something that requires you. And I just think that that's something that we need to work on in today's world of education.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And most of that I've seen, for the parents who really do want to be involved, they just don't have the time, because they just, they're coming from a 9-hour, a 10-hour shift. They want to get their kid. They want to spend time with their kid. They have to go home. They have to cook. They have to get prepared for the next day. So I know, like, for me as a teacher, I would just try to make as many interactive things for the parents to do with the children as much as possible, or on days or times that I knew that the parents would be able to do it. So even if it's as simple as sending home a reading log, the parents are going to be able to spend that 5 to 20 minutes with that child and read that book with their child, and let them have that free range over if you want to do it nightly, if you want to just catch up on the weekend and do it. It's up to you. but these are the hours, or this is the amount of time I would like for you to do it. Or sending home sight words for the parents to work on the children with. Sending stuff via email. So the lesson plans that I created, I would send them to their email as well. Have those sight words on the slideshow. Have all of my lessons on this, on the printout as well, so that they can see what we're doing. So if their child is going to miss a day, they know, okay, well, today we talked about cats today. I can just bring up something or do something with them to keep them on track and not leave them out. A lot of teachers don't understand that we leave parents out, and it's unintentionally because we focus on the student. But as much as we focus on the student, I feel like we should also focus on the parent, and not necessarily try to teach the parent, but just show them how we work with their child, so that they can see when they get home how to work with their child as well. Because like I said, for a lot of parents and families, the kids are totally different. And if they're not totally different, it's a shift where the parent is like, oh wow, I didn't know my kid did this at school, or my child was this intuitive, my child was this talkative, or my child really wanted to answer questions this much. So now that parents are able to see their children in their elements, and for those parents that are in child care, not parents but people in child care, teachers, send those videos, and keep those parents updated with how the child is doing outside of what we learned today. Like, I saw such and such try to tie her shoes. We learned that on Monday. I am so amazed that she's really taking that into place. Parents something else to feel good about versus, oh yeah, we learned letter A, she knows letter A. Okay, we learned how to count to 3, she's counting to 3. Like, put some extra stuff in there. Put some sprinkles on top of that cupcake and give those parents something to be over excited about, because that's what it's about, bringing those parents in to make them feel like they're a part of the experience. Because for kids, when they're that young, they don't know what school is. They just know they're going somewhere, they're getting ready to have an experience. And it's up to the teachers and the parents to make sure that experience is the best for that child.
Absolutely.
It's fun, engaging, and like you said, there is involvement on both sides. So get those kids interactive, get those kids in there to have their parents, get those kids to amp their parents up and say, Mom, there's a festival next weekend, I really want to go. Make sure that your class is doing something in that festival to have that child be motivated to go, so that the parent is motivated to go. Don't just, be having an event or something every season and your class isn't involved, because they're not going to be interested in going. It's not really going to be I have to go situation. It's going to be like, if you want to go, we can go. But if your child is engaged in a lot of activities with the school as well, the parents will be involved. And it will kind of just happen by default for those who might be too busy. That's when you schedule stuff on the weekends. Or, like I said, send stuff out via email so that they can keep engaged with that child, so that they can keep up to date with at least what you're learning and what they're getting ready to learn for the next week, or what they did the past week. Parent-teacher conferences as well. That's something I was heavy on in childcare. A lot of teachers were like, what? I'm not about to do parent-teacher conference. Like, this is their 4. And I'm like, but they still develop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they still do all of the things that the child is going to do in 1st grade and 7th grade and 10th grade. And that's something that I think we need in public school, and not necessarily parent-teacher conferences, but a curriculum. What are we following now? Common Core.
Mm-hmm.
The Common Core stands. We're not going to get on Common Core, but public schools need some kind of tracking system for those parents as well. Not just, because once they get older, they're really just going to school and not being interactive with parents as far as what they're learning. At least in public school, let's send out some day reports. Let's have teachers try to send out some pictures so that parents can see their children in that element. And I know that's just something added on extra for public school, but it just has to be a system that is together and that follows all the way through. Because we do a lot of stuff in pre-K and preschool that we don't do following through. So a lot of times children just get confused and they get broken up because it's like, oh, well, I've been learning this way so long, or I've been interactive and engaging this long. Now I'm getting to this stage of life where there's really not the same thing, and so that's where they lose interest. And so, not to say, parents have to do everything, but then again, like you said, that just falls back on the parent involvement.
Yep.
Keeping that child interested along the way as well, not just the teacher, because you have that teacher for 1 year maybe. And in pre-K, you might be blessed to have the teacher for 2 years, but after that, your child is going somewhere else. And that teacher could be totally different from what you're doing. It's up to that parent and that child to keep that momentum, to keep that attitude, that same attitude of learning, and keep it going and not lose it at all.
So when you and what are some things that is new to go to kindergarten?
We definitely knew Spanish. They definitely knew those colors. I love my color song that we do. So they definitely knew basic beginner Spanish stuff. Their numbers to 10, their colors. They might have known a few phrases, or not might have. They would have known a few phrases like hi, hello, good morning, good night, good afternoon, how are you, please, thank you, stuff like that. And then just basic sight words, door, and more than just the one or the two, the three-letter sight words, but posting stuff around the classroom. These are pencils. This is a chalkboard. This is a chair. This is a sink. This is whatever. And having those Spanish terms with it as well, because that's something I've seen my kids love learning every year that I've taught. And that's that Spanish. They love doing that Spanish, and it's just something different about it. And they love learning two languages. And so with that as well, manners, like I said, those self-help skills. If you didn't know how to put on a jacket, you're going to know how to put on a jacket when you get out of my class. If you didn't know how to tie your shoes, you're going to be interested in learning how to tie your shoes. Like, you're going to know how to put on your socks. You're going to know how to button up your pants, pull up your pants. Make sure your stuff is right in the bathroom. Make sure you know how to use the bathroom the right way. And one of those things that I really didn't know, I mean, you kind of know, but something that my parents brought up was just really teaching the kids, or the girls more so, how to wipe front to back, and teaching the boys really how to shake and how to stand up and use the bathroom, have manners, have patience, be able to take turns, have focus, and with that focus, have longevity with that focus. So when I do circle time, a lot of teachers probably do about 10 minutes. Good morning, this is what we're doing today. That's about it. My circle times are going to be about 30 minutes. And if my kids are into it, it's going to last an hour, because I know how to break it up. We're going to sing songs if I see that you're getting antsy. If you're not listening, if you're not focused, all right, everybody stand up, clap your hands, shake your body, stomp your feet. All right, sit back down, because it's still Miss Alycia's time and we're learning. Because circle time was that time for me where I knew I had, that was that time where you got your information out. And everybody is working together. All the kids are learning together. They're feeding off of each other's energy, their information. So even if you have 10 kids and 7 of them are really shy, those 3 kids that are going to raise their hand and answer are those only 3 kids that you need, that are going to teach the class if they're not learning from you. Because those kids are going to be excited. And my oldest, she is definitely the one where if you don't call on her when she raises her hand, she's going to be upset, because she wanted to answer that question first. And so being able to use more than one skill with circle time just helps the child grow wholly, like a whole child development type of thing. Because you're learning patience, you're learning those communication skills, you're learning music and movement skills, you're learning those letter recognitions, name recognitions. We're reading, so you're going to learn the parts of the book. If this is the front of the book, this is the back of the book, this is the spine. What does the spine do? It holds all the pages together. You're going to learn what an author is. You're going to learn what an illustrator is. A lot of things I like to teach my kids is coloring in the lines as well. Don't leave those white spaces, because it helps with their focus as well. It helps their attention. So for me, I like trying to put as many skills and as many subjects into one thing as I can, because it only takes 2 seconds to lose interest. And for kids, if you try to put those sentences together, like, okay, we're learning about A this week. We're gonna learn about apples. We're gonna smell some apples. What do they smell like? We're gonna taste the apples. We're gonna cut up some apples. We're gonna learn about math. We're gonna learn about slices. This is a half. This is a fourth. We can learn about the parts of the apple. This is what the core is. This is the skin. This is the meat. Like, this is the part that you eat. You can eat the skin. This is the stem. This is the leaf. Whatever. Go into anatomy. Like, just break it down for the kids as much as you can. It doesn't have to be so simple. A is for apple. That's all you learned today, child? Like, okay, we know A.
I think that people, children, there's so much in their brain.
Yes.
It's so much. You don't have to just scratch the surface. You can really go down.
Right. And that's what the kids love. They love thinking. And when the kids doesn't like thinking, that means it's because you're not pushing them enough to think enough. And that's when you just have those stubborn kids, those hard-headed kids. Those are my favorite because I know how to crack them. And once you see them crack, it is so heartwarming. When you see those kids come in that are just like, oh no, I'm not learning today. I'm about to go over here. And for me, it was like, okay, well, you can go play in housekeeping. You're still going to hear Miss Alycia because I know my voice is loud. So I know you. I hear you back there humming my color song.
What is the color song?
So I have the kids make a beat on their laps, but I'll just snap, and it's like red, rojo, red, rojo, yellow, amarillo, yellow, amarillo, blue, azul, blue, azul, orange, anaranjado, orange, anaranjado. And so we just keep going. And so when I do circle time with them in the morning, after we do our words or we do the song, if they're paying attention and they're saying their song, we actually play I Spy Colors. And so we'll do the song again, but this time they actually have to hold the colors or they have to show me the color that they're saying. And then we have a good morning song, the Buenos Dias song that they love singing too. And it's like, Buenos dias, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias, muy bien, gracias. Y usted. So adding those hand movements and doing, my nephew singing the song that said, doing those hand movements and kind of just, being active with the kids, getting on the floor with the kids, doing it with the kids.
Know what I may be sending out. I'm going to go ahead and request for Miss Alycia to come back on and close us out as she talk about DM it to me. I don't want nobody to see that. Just DM it to me. So we can close out by just telling us your philosophy of education as a whole. Close out.
Let's see. Lord, I didn't do so many papers on this. I mean, right now, honestly, I wouldn't even say that I have one, and I'm okay with that because I like going with the flow. The biggest thing for me when it comes to teaching the kids or just something to instill with myself, a guide that I go off of, is to learn from the kids because that's what's going to teach me the most. That's what's going to help me teach them the most as well. It's for me to build that relationship, like you said, that foundation. So my biggest thing is family. My philosophy would be family. Making sure that I'm engaged with the family. I'm interacting with the family. I'm a part of the family. Like you said, in a way that teacher has to be your best friend. You have to be comfortable with calling me or texting me and saying, hey, Sarah she hasn't been doing this and such, and I've noticed that she's been growing in your class with this. How do you get her to do this? And also for me as a teacher to be able to ask the parent when they drop off, hey, I've noticed that such and such hasn't been sleeping, hasn't been napping, they haven't been eating, so do you have time to talk so that we can see, you know, what we need to do to help them get over this, or is there something going on? Because sometimes, you know, a lot of parents aren't going to just tell you their business, but if they see that you're interested or they see that you're concerned, they might just need that. They might need that extra person to get that load off and say, hey, I'm going through this divorce. The kids, I didn't know if they knew about it, but thank you so much for telling me, because I've had that before. You have to notice these things in the children. It's not all about addition and ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. Your child is going to learn that. I don't care if your child is 6 and they're still struggling with that. Start to do different things with them, but there's more important things that your child needs to know. Your child is going to grasp the concept of that, and that's what kind of middle school and stuff kind of teaches you, if you don't know that already, is to how to put those learning perspectives into place, which is something that a lot of parents don't know how to do. So as a parent, your only job is to do the best that you can with your child. Teach them those self-help skills. Teach them about problem solving. Teach them how to work with themselves and those attitudes that they have, those traumas that they may have, those traumas that they may not have. Because if the kids never go through anything as well, they're getting to school seeing kids that have been through things, and they're just kind of thrown off. They're either making jokes, they're making comments, and as a teacher, you still kind of have to allow kids to be kids, because that's just, you know, their environment, but you also have to protect those kids who are going through more situations than others. So my philosophy or my basis on being a great teacher is knowing that family and making that family feel like they're great too, regardless of what they're going through. Regardless if it's a single parent, 2-parent household, 5 family household where you got the grandparents involved, I'm going to be like, okay, well, how about, I want to see grandma. Can you have grandma drop off one day so that I can get to know her and she can see me as well? Because you want everybody to say, oh, yes, I know Miss Alycia. Or if your child is talking about Miss Alycia, you want to be able to have something else to say as well. Because if you're kind of just throwing everything off or brushing everything off the shoulder, when your child is bringing up these great things or things that they're interested in, they're going to shut down automatically. They're going to come back to school and they're going to tell the teacher, like, mommy didn't do sight words with me, or we haven't done this, because you know kids tell business, and all teachers aren't going to just spill the beans and say, oh, your child said this or your child said that, but you just take that in consideration because you have a special bond with that child as well, where some things you may not tell the parents, you may just keep between you and the child, but you still relay messages to parents in a way where they can still feel comfortable about having you around their child. Because there are going to be some of those parents where they're going to be jealous of your relationship with their child. And when those situations happen, you just have to kind of teach them how to use their time, like you said, to be able to engage with their child. If you're busy, that's fine. I'm not judging you on anything that you're doing. I'm not condemning you, shaming you, or anything. But you have to put that time in. Like you said, whether it's in the tub, whether it's eating, driving down the road, and you're talking about a stop sign. All right, that's 3 lessons in one. You're going to learn about the color red. You're going to say it's an octagon. It has 8 sides, and let's learn about the letter stop. What letters are those? Let's spell it. What other words is in it? Like, if they're older, just make it more challenging. You can use the same things, because I'll have parents come in and say, oh, well, my child already knows what an octagon is. Okay, does your child know how many sides it has? Does your child know?
Most times they don't know. They don't.
They thinking a pentagon is the same thing, and hexagon and all of it. So it's just like, have the children master what they're learning before you just try to keep going. Because a lot of parents are so hung up on, oh, this child knows such and such and such, and this child did this and this and this. And it's just like, well, a lot of children learn differently. A lot of children don't have the same environment. They don't have the same time. They don't have the same flexibility as other people. But we cannot rely on teachers to be the only thing or the only source of education where children are getting it from. That's something I disagree with wholeheartedly. That you just don't send your child to school and not do anything. And you learn the most about that with the parents and the families during potty training. Because I've done 2-year-olds, and it would be like, okay, you're going to send your child to school and you're going to send them with no pull-ups, but as soon as, they get home or when you come pick up, you're putting them right in the pull-up. That's not going to work. And that's why certain things only happen at school versus at home, because parents aren't taking that knowledge from school and putting it in the household, or they're not comfortable enough to put that knowledge in the household and take it to school, to the point where you're going to allow your child to just keep peeing on themselves at home. You're going to peeing at themselves at school to potty train, but you're not going to do it at home. Because I've had parents say, well, I'll send them in underwear to school, but when they get home, they're not peeing on my carpet. And it's just like, well, how are they going to learn? And, okay, if you don't want that to happen, like you said, come up with other suggestions as well. Don't just kind of write the parents off. Then come up with other suggestions and say, okay, well, just send them to the bathroom every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, or limit their drinking, limit their ounces, or only give them a drink up until this certain time. So, it's like a lot of people have been saying in the comments, it's all about that connection, that foundation with the family. And that's what I am so strong about when it comes to education. Learning styles and all that other stuff, you're going to learn that. All of that usually you put in your philosophy about talking about Piaget, and the children learn best in the environment. The children learn best they learn best in all of that. You have to put all of that together. And teaching Montessori, that's what had me learn. It's not just a one-sided thing. You don't have to pick Piaget over somebody else. You don't have to pick certain skills or philosophies and just, I'm this type of philosophist, I'm going to go through this. I'm a socialist, I'm a realist, I'm a whatever. You have to be all of those to be able to teach them. Because otherwise, you're teaching your children to be biased to whatever side that you're teaching them on. And it's okay to do that, but you have to be open to learning as teachers and parents. We have to be open to asking for help. And sometimes as teachers, we think we're just these specialists and we think we know everything as well. We may be the specialists when it comes to education and classroom management and lesson planning and stuff like that, but the parent is the specialist over the child because they know their child best. And you have to create that space where the parent feels comfortable enough to let you know everything about their child. Because as you said, there's going to be those moments where your child's going to end up doing stuff at school they're not doing at home. And they're going to end up doing stuff at home they're not doing at school. You have to come together and make sure everything was on one accord. Nothing can be uneven because that just creates that crack to be able to slip through. You have to keep everything leveled up along the way so that the kids can stay level-headed as well.
Thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to go. I'm going to close out on Alycia free. Thank you.
Thank you.